Hello everyone! So today I'm going to teach you how to catch a slouch donkey in the fall. Alright, so fall fishing. I hear all the time, oh, fall fishing is hard, I hate fishing in the fall, blah 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 blah. Yes, fall fishing can be a little frustrating at times, but it can also be really awesome at times. And most of the time, if you follow these tips. Um, so, uh, I'm gonna start with, I'm gonna have two separate categories here. We'll do early fall and then we'll do late fall. Now, this is not based on the calendar or anything like that. Like, we started getting into fall patterns a couple weeks ago. Right now, it's just a couple days after fall technically started. The fish don't know the freaking calendar. Okay, so this is all based on water temperature. And we're going to go early fall is 65 degrees to 55 degrees. Alright, and then late fall we'll do 55 down to 45, maybe down to 40. Not really. Once you get down below 45, 40, then it's winter pattern. It's pretty much dead stick a Ned rig for an hour and a half and hope to get bit. You know. But alright, so I'll start with this. In both times of fall, in early fall and late fall, the best thing you can do is find the bait fish. Alright? You find the bait fish, you're most likely gonna find the bass. Alright? In both times of the fall. So, both early fall and late fall, you find the bait fish, you're gonna find the bass. Okay? Pretty much. So, in early fall, that's when the weeds are starting to die out deeper. They're still up shallow. You know, they might start dying a little bit and getting patchy or whatever, but they're mostly there and they're mostly thick, you know, up shallow. So the bait fish are going to be in those weeds up shallow. They start coming in and hanging out on those weeds, feeding on those weeds and stuff. The best way I can say for you to find bait fish, like find the biggest concentration, because there's going to be, in early fall, there's going to be a lot of weeds still left, you know. To find a big concentration of them is go in the morning. And a lot of guys, oh, it's cold in the fall in the morning, and suck it up, bucko. Go out there, you'll just see them popping everywhere. And there's your sign. They're not going to go away once the sun comes up. They might stop popping around and hunker down more, but they're still there. They're in that spot for a reason. Big weeds, there's probably some good food in there for them and all that. That's where they're at, okay? Not that difficult. Now, finding the bass. Okay, there will be some that will be cruising through those weed flats, cruising for the bait fish, actively feeding fish, right? Those are usually pretty easy to catch. But I think that, and I have facts to prove this, and this isn't obviously always the case, but the big girls are on the outside of that weed edge, out in the deeper water, on the edge of those weeds right there. Alright, and I think they just sit there, they wait. You know, bigger bass are smarter. Bass are smart feeders anyway, and a smart fish, but the big bass, they're smarter. They just don't waste as much energy just chasing around bait fish. Alright, they're sitting there for their opportunity for another fish to chase them out or injure a fish. It comes out of the weeds. There you go. They're running in the more open water along that edge. Boop, there you go. So they're waiting for a good opportunity to get a good meal, you know. So I really think that's a good spot to focus, is on the weeds. I do also fish the weed flats, and you can catch good ones in there for sure, you know, but I think a lot of the big ones will be on the edge of the weeds most of the time. They also will swim around and chase and stuff too, obviously, whatever. But so also, I guess I should have started with this. For top water, guys swear by fall top water. They'll fish top water all day in the fall, and guys fish topwater all day, all year round if they want to. I don't really do that. I don't know why. That's just me. I don't know. Always learned that topwater was like an early morning thing, so I do that all the time. And just once the sun comes up, I kind of switch to something else. But for topwater in the early fall, it's when you're definitely gonna want to go with a frog. Like I said, all those weeds dying, coming up, blowing into the shallows on the banks and stuff, making like nasty little dead weed mats and stuff. There you go. You don't want to be running something with like trebles on it. That's going to catch those things. Great thing. Just a good old walking frog. Another one I really like. These are the live target like sunfish. These are pretty dang cool. I like these a lot actually. And these I just like to do like a few pops. They go like this. Like they kind of do like a walking action, but they like dart up and shoot a little water. Really look more like a fish, you know, popping out of the water. But I do a few, you know, and then stop it for a couple seconds. Usually when you stop it, boop, that's when you get hit. There's my topwater options. Stick with those this time because of those weed mats. If there isn't, you know, like those weeds blown up, then you can go to something like this or a popper, whatever you want, you know. But so there's that for topwater options. Yeah, but anyway, on those, we'll get back to where I was going, because I was going to mention that first and then got sidetracked. But on the edge of those weeds, where I concentrate most of the time in this early fall time. Now on the kayak or the boat, I do one of two things. I am either along it, running a bait along that outside weed edge. Obviously the outside weed edge is in a straight line, you know, there's spots where patchier grass, you know, where you kind of find where it starts, you know, patching out, whatever. Along that edge, run a bait along there, or I stay off of it, out a ways, throw a few feet into that thicker grass and pop something out, or run a bait out of it into that shallower stuff. Now for you guys on the bank, you obviously don't have that option. I mean, you can kind of cast sideways and get out there to that weed edge, kind of run away from it still, but kind of along it. You know, you can kind of do that stuff. Not near as effective as if you can sit right on it, obviously. But you can do that. But really, big option for me when I would bank fish all the time, and when I still do, whatever. And this is actually how I caught my PB years ago, was using a jig. All right. You're on that bank and you cast this jig. This is just like a flipping jig. You can use a flipping jig, casting jig, or a football jig. Alright? But pretty much with this, you're going to cast a little ways out past that weed edge and work the jig back into the weeds a ways until you start getting into the weeds, and you know you really can't pop it out of the weeds too much. And then, you know, just reel back in and just cover that edge like that with either this, and fish the jig slow. I think people fish the jig way too fast most of the time anyway. I say fish the jig slow a lot of times, but throw it out there, let it kind of sit. You know, if it's a football jig, drag it, you hit something, give it a pop, you know, that sort of stuff. Maybe just kind of bounce them up, you know, just work your jig however you work it, really. But yeah, past the weed edge, work it back towards you into the weed edge. Once you get to a certain point, you know, where it's just you're picking up a lot of stuff, then bring it back in and just, you know, work your way along there. And yeah, this time of year in that 65 to 55 range, flipping jigs, football jigs, I'm imitating a craw more than a bait fish. So this time of year, you know, I like Rage Swimmers as trailers. This are little chunk trailers that I make, you know, stuff like that. A crawfish trailer, I think they represent craws more than bait fish when you're working them off the bottom like that. That's just my opinion. But the 65 to 55 degree, that's when you'll be working that. We'll get into, when I get to late fall, the difference there. Alright, so that's one. And also you can work them along the edge too, if you want to work them that way. Next bait, and this is one that I really like working along the edge when I'm sitting there on the boat or the kayak, and I'm working with that weed edge, is lipless crankbait, flat side, rattle trap, whatever the heck you want to call it. This is a red eye shad and bluegill color. But these are phenomenal on weed edges, and I got a bunch of line ties that I never caught. But I think a lot of people, they don't fish lipless crankbaits really the most effective way anyway. I think most people just cast them out there and reel them back, which I mean you can do, and you'll catch fish that way sometimes, but especially this time of year, but really a lot of times I like to do cast it along that weed edge, let it hit the bottom, and you're going to slowly reel it to where it's still working its way on the bottom, and you can kind of feel the bottom, or maybe just a little above, and then you're going to get snagged in those weeds. You pop that sucker out, pop it out, boom, that's when you're going to get hit. Alright, these things are phenomenal for covering that weed edge this time of year. So there's number one, doing that. Let's see, the other one should be no surprise, a chatterbait. Hey, and this one I can work all three ways really. Cast it along the weed edge, work it just like I do a lipless crankbait, running along the bottom, popping out of those weeds. I can actually work from the outside, cast into the weeds and pull it out. But really, where I love these the most is on those weed flats. If I'm trying to get those fish that are actively feeding around those weed flats in the early fall, chatterbait. Chatterbait works its way through the weeds really well. If you really get hung up, you can just pop it out, and you'll usually get hit when you pop it out. So chatterbait, great bait. This is still the time of year I use it. Yeah, and then it'll switch next time. So that is, oh no, one more, I forgot. Also a great bait for working in those weed flats. It's just a little, your little swim bait. This is like a Rage Swimmer, like Kitech style bait, ribbed boot tail, little swim bait, little weighted swim bait hook on it. This hook's a little small. I just grabbed a hook and screwed it on there real quick for this video, but a little small. But yeah, these are obviously real great for running through those weeds because they don't get hooked at all. You can just kind of just slow rolling through it. So it's a great thing this time of year. Do that inside the weed flats. Now we're ready for late fall. Now late fall, actually let me take a drink real quick. Now, late fall, the weeds are starting to die off more, right? Those shallow areas, they're starting to get patchy weeds. The last places to really have weeds are going to be the sunny areas, obviously, of the lake, the places that get the most sun throughout the day. Usually the west side, okay? Usually the west bank will keep a lot of weeds a lot longer. Sun rises in the east, shining on the west a lot, like all throughout the day. So west side really keeps a lot of weeds. Can keep the weeds a lot longer than the east side. So there you go. But those shallow patches of weeds are still there, kind of everywhere. Same thing. Find the bait fish, you'll find the bass. Also laydowns, things like that. Those bait fish will bunch up around all those laydowns, things like that. So it's a great area as well. So when the weeds start getting like that, we start getting cold, the 55-degree range and stuff like that, what I put down that chatterbait for this time of year is a spinnerbait. This is the time of year when I really like throwing the spinnerbait. The spinnerbait, now all the weeds are getting more sparse and all that, or the bait fish are huddling around those laydowns, and spinnerbaits are great for imitating schools of fish. Things like a chatterbait, swim bait, swim jig, all imitate a single fish. Spinnerbait imitates a school of fish. So it's really a great time of year to throw this. They're all huddled up into smaller areas, so great thing. All right. Also, and also, spinnerbaits are great around those laydowns and stuff. They don't hook wood as easily. They can work their way through weeds. I don't really like spinnerbait through weeds too much, but especially when these weeds are getting more sparse like that, then it can work pretty good. So the other thing is a swim jig. Swim jig, I will throw pretty much like I do the chatterbait, whatever. Also really good for not getting hung up on those trees and things. But yeah, it can be really good coming out of the weeds. If the weeds get real thick, it's not super spectacular to get out of the weeds. That's why I still kind of stick with the chatterbait when the weeds are thicker. But I will still throw swim bait or swim jig here and there. But once the weeds are kind of more patchy and stuff, the sucker works. Yeah, another one carryover is a lipless again. This can be thrown now kind of anywhere. Stay away from the sticks, obviously, and it will catch every freaking stick in the place. But if it's just like weed flats and things like that, great thing. Just do the same thing. Slow roll it. You get caught in the weeds, pop that sucker out. There you go. This still works great until it's too cold that they ain't gonna really hit much or anything. All right. Oh, in top water, I forgot to mention too. Once the the weeds start dying off, you don't have those big nasty dead weed mats. That's when I'll start throwing like a whopper plopper. All right. That's when I'll use the whopper plopper in the morning, because you're not gonna start catching all those weeds like crazy. So this sucker will work in the late fall, and yeah. All right, let's see. Oh, that's pretty much it, except one last thing, and I didn't actually grab one. I've never actually even used this bait. It's sat there forever. I don't even know why. I think I got it free somewhere. I don't know. But, I found it or something. But anyway, it's pretty much kind of the same thing. Jerkbait. Alright? Jerkbait in this late fall time can be great. Now, the times when I really like to use the jerkbait, though, is on extreme weather days. And really, this is the best time in the late fall when you should be fishing. I should kind of mention that. In late fall, the bass are now kind of, since the weeds are more not as thick and they're more shallow, those bass are going to be up shallow feeding on those fish, and this is when like the feeding frenzy really gets going, okay? But on days when it is and like I said, you'll run across bite windows, and it's hard to find exact bite windows. I think none of us will really ever know exactly what will trigger a school of bass to go through these bite windows. It just happens. You can kind of trigger the fish if you're around them, and maybe you start getting something going that way, but like trigger a school of fish, get one and then another, and then they'll start fighting over food and stuff like that. You can kind of get that going, but there's like self-made bite windows that they just like go through, like they just like natural bite windows that they'll just start just feeding like crazy, and it's hard to really understand. But extreme weather days, like say, okay, here in the late fall, you're having cold days in the 40s, 50s, or whatever. You're having these cold days for like a week, then all of a sudden you get a day when it's 70 degrees and sunny that day. That's a great day to go out there. All right, great day to go out there and catch some fish. And the warming, those crazy warming days, that's when I like throwing the jerkbait on those warming days. It seems to really work really well. Now also vice versa, you have like a week of warm days, whatever going on, and then you get like an extreme cold day, like a cold, rainy, cloudy day. Oh my god, it can be amazing. And that's really the time on those cloudy days, like going with a spinnerbait or going with that swim jig. Those days can be phenomenal. Just those extreme weather days, and I know it's hard for all of you, pretty much, or most of you, whatever, that work all the time and whatever, you fish whatever days you can. But if you get an opportunity to or whatever, go on those days where it's changing from real cold and then all of a sudden one day it's real warm, or it's been warm, unseasonably warm that time of year, and then all of a sudden has a drastic cold. And I know a lot of guys, I don't want to go out there when it gets cold, but hey, trust me, if you do, and make sure you dress accordingly, put your big coat on and all that stuff. I know it's weird to be out there bass fishing on a big old coat on and stuff, but it doesn't feel right, but it can be phenomenal. And I think, and those are weird sort of days where it just like, it triggers them. Something happens this time of year and it'll just trigger them and the bait fish, and it'll just become a feeding frenzy. So, look for those days if you can, especially in late fall. Early fall it can be kind of the same too, but late fall I've found, like, once it gets down below like 55 and starts getting colder and closer to winter, I find that those days like that really screw them up and they can just go wild. So that's something to look for. And all that, that's pretty much it. I think I've said pretty much everything I need to say. You can get on schools of big fish that are feeding at this time of year and catch good numbers of big fish that are feeding and are pretty easy this time of year. But you can also catch those lone real big fish, or they'll be mixed in with those big schools too. You have a chance to catch a giant. Oh, one last thing I will say is, if you're into throwing big swim baits and stuff, fall's a great time to do so. Especially the later fall, I find, if you slow roll like a swim bait, like a Huddleston or something. I'm not that spectacular at that. Obviously, I've just started getting into that stuff. Do love my Huddleston bluegill, but I mean, even like, your 8-inch Huddlestons and stuff like that, slow rolled, that can catch you a giant in the fall as well. I know guys swear by that stuff in the fall too. I've been throwing around an 8-inch Huddleston perch at some places with perch, but you guys haven't been seeing it because I haven't caught anything on it. Whatever. But yeah, so if you're into that sort of stuff, that's also something you can be doing. People swear by it. So, that's pretty much it. I hope this helped you out. I hope you go out there, you catch some freaking hogs in the fall, and possibly maybe even break your PB. Man, that'd be awesome. If you do, make sure you comment in this video or whatever. Comment all freaking fall. Go back to this video and comment down below. Hey dude, I freaking caught this. I broke the world record. I caught a 23 pounder. Whatever. Do it. But yeah, so hope it helped you. Thank you. I love you guys. Get out there, catch you some fish. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. It's not that difficult. These videos are awesome. My doorbell's going, so I gotta go. Click on my logo in the upper left-hand corner to subscribe. In the upper right-hand corner is the last video I made. In the lower right-hand corner, there's a video I know you'll enjoy. And make sure to hit that like button down below as well.